Welcome to IMAGI-NATION TV. Week 20, episode 94. We are being joined by some rockstar mentors for our We Imagine special on Imagination Ambassadors. My name is Liam Stewart. I am in Year 10 and I attend Monero High School. What I imagine within the next 10 years to help us all create a fairer world is an altered curriculum that changes the educational narrative to provide youth with a better understanding of the world and how it works today. What I really have to get out of hosting today is a renewed confidence in myself and my identity as an Aboriginal person, but an opportunity to speak to young kids across the world, whether they be Indigenous or not, to provide that support network and that confidence in them as well to know that they can succeed.
Sounds like a pretty good set of goals, buddy.
Thank you.
How did that feel?
Nerve-wracking, not gonna lie.
Yeah, you did great. We got a comment straight away on the chat line from Justin Moses saying, "Go Liam, you got this." So you made a good impact straight away. I love that idea of a alternative curriculum. And I think that if we have a few different ways that we can learn, we've got some structural ways which are really helpful. I always think that part of the role of an educator is to try and open kids' minds up or people's minds, students' minds up, and then let the students then go and wander and discover and open their world up. So I'd love to work on that idea. Maybe you can work on that idea with us over the next decade. That'll be fun. All right, we're going to jump into the show. You ready to go, Liam?
Yeah.
All right, let's do this thing. We're going to catch up with your principal now. We've got James Armitage here with us. James, how are you?
Very well, thanks, Jack. How are you?
Yeah, great. Thank you for joining us. And it's great to have Monero High School as a partner on the school show today. And we're taking IMAGI-NATION TV as a magic school bus into different schools every day around the world. And it's great to work with you guys today and give the stage for Liam and some of your students to be a part of the experience.
No, it's my pleasure, matey. Jack's a wonderful young man, and it's great to see him putting himself out of his comfort zone. So.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, let's jump. Let's put you out of your comfort zone. Let's do the 60-second challenge. Here goes the clock. It's about to start.
Happy to.
Okay, what is your idea of perfect happiness?
Perfect happiness for me is time with family, Jack. If I'm around my wife and my children, mate, and my extended family, that's when I'm happiest, mate.
And on what occasion do you value rebelliousness?
Probably when there's a challenge around things always been done the same way over history. So I genuinely respect rebelliousness from students and young people when there's things that we've always done the same way and potentially not looking at it from a different lens. And I find that it's often a really productive thing when that's the case.
What quality do you most like in puppets?
Listening.
What is your secret power?
My secret power is optimism, Jack. I've worked really hard at it. It's a skill I've had to teach myself as an educator, but I find it being optimistic and being able to find the good in everything and some positive even out of the most difficult things we face as educators is a really wonderful power.
Yeah, I reckon I completely agree. It's one of the absolute turbocharged skills that can bring people with you, get you out of bed in the morning and see opportunities. So great one to end on. James, thanks for joining us and thanks for being a principal that believes in kids and is working hard to keep pushing the dial. So good on you, mate. Thanks a lot.
No, my pleasure, Jack.
All righty, we're going to move now into the next segment of the show. So for the last week and a half, we've been talking about the world we imagine in the next 10 years' time. And Liam kicked us off with what he imagines. And we've had lots of different people exploring what could it take for us to create a fairer world. And today specifically, we're looking at one project we're looking at. So we're exploring opening up a university next year called IMAGI-NATION University and having that university open for 5-year-olds through to 95-year-olds to come in and be trained in a degree in imagination for 5 days and then be set out for 10 months to complete a project to bring to life imagination to create a fairer world. So from principals to teachers, through to students, up to university students, through to CEOs, looking at the whole ecosystem to see how we can use imagination to crack open new paradigms and apply change. And one of the things we've learned with AIM over 16 years is we often think that going in and working with young people, and sometimes kids are looked at as a problem to be fixed, especially some kids who are seen as, disadvantaged. And so we think that, youngsters like Liam are not a problem to be fixed. If you give them a stage, they can show that they can be the solution and they can lead us into very different areas. So we're going to kick around with our panel some conversations around entrepreneurship and whether you're too young to lead, and how we can give a stage for young people, especially young people who might be seen in a traditional lens as a problem to be fixed. How do we flip that script and flip that narrative, and then what extraordinary results could we see out of that? So that's what we're going to get into. We'll throw to a quick video which introduces the hoodie that we're celebrating this year as we bring together the We Imagine campaign and look at the world we want to build in the next 10 years. And we have a few young people that are joining us today to talk about how they're putting their action to life to try and use their opportunities to raise funds and be a CEO for good. And one of the challenges we've got around the world is by most measurement forms, it's a little bit unequal in the way that wealth is distributed. There's some significant inequality in food distribution and opportunities around education, access to housing. There's lots of challenges domestically and internationally to try and work around. And one of the things our CEOs for Good program is doing is giving a chance for young people to take a stage and see if they can work with their network to give away some of their wealth, knowledge, or opportunities to kids that might be missing out, and build that bridge together, that we can sort of start to build more of that exchange between people who might have a bit more and people that don't have that much. So the CEOs for Good that are joining us today are Freddie Slipper, we've got Laura with us, and we've got Ahan. Freddie's joined us on a video, and then we're going to jump in and catch up live with Laura and Ahan on the other side of it.
Hi, I'm Freddie Slipper, a Year 12 student at St Michael's Grammar School in Melbourne. With the recent spotlight on the Black Lives Matter movement, I felt useless, as due to the pandemic, I was unable to go to the march. I wanted to do something meaningful as opposed to simply just talking about it. And when I read the significant impact that AIM has made on closing the education gap, I couldn't help but to get involved. I signed up for the CEO for Good program so I can give myself and others the opportunity to make a positive impact when it's hard to know where to begin. As a CEO for Good, I'll prioritize educating myself, my peers, and the school community, as despite donations being important, I believe learning and understanding social issues are vital to change. I want to be part of activating passion in others, so as a community, we can all be part of systemic and long-term change, to not only close the gap in statistics, but in our mindsets and behaviours. I hope to raise funds for AIM, to raise awareness for Indigenous communities and about their discrimination, and to do something tangible, to show all young people that we believe in them and our futures. Thank you.
Go, Freddie. What do you reckon, Liam?
I think that was incredible. She's a young person trying to do something great today while being safe, and I think that is 100% the way to go.
Yeah, it's cool to. I love complexity. I love bringing different people from different worlds together, and I love what Freddie said there about, yes, money is important, but a mindset change, that's the complex thing. Working out how we see each other and our own humanity, and we get to know each other. And that's, I think, the only way that you break down racism is by getting to know people as people, and then learning more about them and learning more about the complexity and where they come from.
Yeah, I do think that there are many barriers that need to be broken down. And while culture is very important to a lot of people, especially me, I do think that at the end of the day, we are human. There is no inherent difference about us, and I don't see why the world doesn't accept that, and I just hope we can strive to a better future for everyone everywhere.
It's so complex. There's this guy called F. Scott Fitzgerald, as an author, who said that the ultimate sign of intelligence was holding two conflicting thoughts in your mind at the same time and still functioning. So your culture can absolutely make you unique. And then at the same time, you can be the same as people. Like, we share a lot. I think skin replaces itself. Guess how many days it takes for all of your skin to replace itself?
Ballpark, maybe 30.
Okay, 30 is your guess. What about the live student audience at Monaro High? Does anyone want to have a guess? How many days for skin to replace itself?
2 days.
Maybe 40, a bit over a month.
2 months. 28. Everyone was pretty close. We were sort of hovering around. There was a 2 there and an 8 somewhere. So 28 days, skin completely replaces itself. That happens to every human being on the earth. There's lots that we share in common, and then lots that makes us different as well. It's what's sort of complex about it. Laura, tell us why you signed up to be a CEO for Good and what you want to do with this platform.
Hey guys, so I'm Laura. I'm 17 years old and I'm from Germany. And yeah, why I wanted to be CEO for Good? Well, I believe in AIM's mission, and I believe in AIM's way of teaching kids confidence, creativity, as well as, most importantly, failure. So I thought this idea of why not teaching failure, why not teaching kindness, or how to be confident, was like a really interesting way to look at today's school and at today's education. So I'm looking to forward to help AIM expand to more countries, as well as just raising awareness. And I will do that with a crowdfunding campaign, which is kind of wrapped around Blacklight pictures. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I would like to give something back to the sponsors, since people in Germany or other countries that AIM is not affiliated with yet might think, okay, well, it's a great nonprofit organization, but what do I have to do with that? That's why I wanted to give something back to them. And I'm also really looking forward to working together with all you guys, such people and influential people.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura. And thanks for signing up, and thanks for getting up. What time is it there in Germany?
It's 4:12 a.m.
Perfect. Well, showing your commitment to the cause is definitely walking the talk, and getting up and committing the time is one of the things which I've found powerful over the years, is watching people give their time as well and show up and go, hey, I'm here for this and I'm going to make this thing work. So really keen to work with you and the first group of CEOs for Good around the world to see what we can do together. And we've finally got Ahan here with us as well. Ahan, how are you?
Hello, Jack. I'm fine. I'm an 11th grade student from IMAGI-NATION International School in Mumbai, India.
And tell us, why do you want to be a CEO for Good? What are you going to do with this platform?
So I see this vicious cycle that exists in the world, where if there is inequality in education in someone's youth, that will lead to, say, income inequality and socio-political inequality. And then it will just continuously repeat itself in this horrific positive feedback loop. And it will just keep going, and inequality will just get more widespread. And what I see here is that AIM is trying to disrupt that cycle and trying to get in the way and say that this is not happening, and we need to change this right now. And that's something that I want to take forward. I want to amplify the CEO for Good campaign here in our community and try to raise funds to counter the cycle, disrupt it, and see if there's a better way to live in this world and live together in peace and harmony and equality.
Yeah, I can get on board with that. That sounds like a pretty powerful vision. I think that's part of what we're trying to do is get out of our own way, is to just, I think the kernel of the thought of our work after 16 years of working with people across 6 different countries and seeing lots of people change from CEOs, prime ministers, presidents, through to, 7-year-old kids, is that the kernel of it is saying to everybody, you have worth. You have worth in the world, you have worth in the world, and we're going to try and acknowledge that worth and make sure that we can show that together. So thank you for signing up. And we've got, yeah, very exciting future, I think, working together in India, and lots that we can do together in India and across the subcontinent. So hopefully you'll be a part of that future with us as we work together to create a lot more change. So good on you, buddy. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Pleasure. All right, we're gonna catch up with our panel now. What a start. Hey, Liam.
I know those three were just so inspirational and intelligent, and I really hope people are scared of their ambition, because these people are doing really great things in this world and they are breaking ground, and I hope that's something that all youth can aspire to do today.
Yeah, keep being brave with that ambition, hey, and pushing the paradigm of what's possible. All right, we've got an incredible panel of people who have done that in their lives on the other side of this video, and we're going to catch up with them in a second.
If you don't want to work, don't bother dreaming.
Shame is just nothing. All of us are dealt different cards, and those cards can be awful, but it's what you do. You are responsible for your reaction.
Okay, to get us going today, I'd love to hear from you, Lorenzo, to talk about what is an entrepreneur and what's the most inspiring message you get when you give a stage to young people to lead.
Hi everyone, pleasure to be here. The main emotion I got is this willingness, this inner willingness to want to change the world, of people that really want to make a difference, to drive sustainable change and create a better future. We can do it together, and entrepreneurship is so much powerful. It's a powerful tool to drive really positive change.
And do you think that there's a limit? How old do you have to be an entrepreneur or to start leading change?
No way. There's no limits. Like it's important to, I think, nurture and let's say specific and positive skills like global citizenship, critical thinking. These are the main skills that can really let you think outside of the box and at the same time see things from a different perspective.
I love that. How's our live audience going? Is there any questions coming in from the live audience at Monaro High?
No, not really.
Not yet.
Not yet. All right, cool. Throw them in the chat room if you do have one, and we'll keep moving. Jason, you were cruising through a pretty cold set of conditions, and then you made a decision to put some energy towards creating something. Can you tell us a little bit about that mindset and that moment, and then the work that you've done?
Yeah, sure. So, Jack, I was down in Antarctica, and I'd returned from a expedition down there and was writing a book about my adventures. And I had a moment of reflection where I came to understand what a terrible job we're doing as stewards of our planet, and how I didn't understand. And kids at school were getting pretty dreary, boring information with, by the way, 10 easy tips to save the planet. So I decided to get involved in education, and the more and more I got into education, understood the flaws in the system and how we needed to look at the whole of sustainability to include the social and the economic. So we've been really helping upskill teachers, building their confidence and competencies to deliver really inspiring real-life lessons to kids, not only in Australia, but students around the world. About 8% of our audience comes from overseas. So, the key thing is about having fun, about understanding, and also having a sense of humour. I think it's really important to engage people along the way. Don't try and be too clever and talk down to people. I think you really got to get down to everyone's level, assume no knowledge, and really build those skills and mindsets from the ground up. And it's been incredibly successful for us, but most importantly, it's been successful for students to engage otherwise disengaged students in their work by working on real world challenges that surround us every day. So whether we're studying English or maths, it might be through the lens of youth homelessness or ocean conservation. We look at all these different things around us and deliver really useful things into the classroom. So that's something that inspires me and my team every day.
Do you remember standing in Antarctica, and is there a moment as you were going through the book that was the frame of reference, the photo, the image, the story that just made you go, actually, I need to put my energy towards creating something which is going to shift the course of this around our planet. Is there an
there was one particular, while I was researching the book, actually, I came across an article that was talking about fishermen coming into the Southern Ocean who were netting krill by the boatload. The krill were being used as an additive in pellets to feed cattle that were grazing on cleared Amazonian rainforest, to grow beef for burgers for Americans who I thought possibly didn't need another hamburger. So on reading that, I got a bit emotional, and I thought, wow, I can't believe this is going on. What else is going on around the world? So that sort of event, I suppose, really made me sit up and think about how we were not doing nearly as well as I supposed. And that was the moment where I decided I need to do something about it. And education seemed the best place to start.
Jim, tell us a little bit about your work. You guys have relatively small ambitions for young people and giving them a stage.
Yeah, it's terrifically small. We're working on a global program. I work for an outfit called Schmidt Futures, which is a philanthropic initiative that was founded by Eric and Wendy Schmidt. Eric used to run Google. They made some money doing that, and now what we're trying to do is search the world for young people who might change it, and take those people and get them to identify what obstacles they have, and then help clear those obstacles. And a lot of those are going to be around coaching, mentoring, but also financial resources, also educational opportunities, internships, travel, you name it, because it is really fundamentally a belief in the power of young people to have a huge impact that gets me up every morning. And so that's what we're working hammer and tong to do.
And 1 million young people you're looking to engage in the next initiative, or one of the initiatives that's coming up?
Yeah, totally. Yep, exactly. So what we want to do is to even to apply to our program, you should win. So of course we can't give huge prizes to everyone who applies, but the very act of applying, you'll be leveling up. You'll be working on a project for yourself. You'll be building those, intellectual skills, those socio-emotional skills, as you work on a project to demonstrate what it is in the world that you're here to do.
Liam, what's capitalism?
I never really found out the literal term, but from my understanding of capitalism, it's what you make, you keep. And I'm not quite sure how I feel about the subject. I do believe in an equal and equitable world, but I do feel like there is a lot of people work hard for their possessions, and I do think it is okay to have things to yourself, but I do think as a world we could be doing better to help everybody and make sure that everybody has an opportunity to succeed in life, whether that be getting access resources to food or to water or to shelter, or be something as small as getting an extension on an assignment, for example. Being able to have that opportunity to succeed in your own terms.
Yeah, we've been studying, I think you've nailed one of the challenges with capitalism and measurements. We're starting to look into this model that looks at so economics, I think, from what I understand, is about an exchange between people. Excuse me, I have a burp that's coming up. I'm just going to get rid of it. Okay. And then in capitalism, one of the challenges is how we exchange that. So do we exchange something for money and only for money in a product? And within those different fields, there's certain fields of capital flow. So intellectual capital is something that Jim and the guys are doing with Schmidt. So they're saying we can pass on knowledge, and that's of value, and that knowledge can then be turned into action. And there's also natural capital. So the world and the impact we have on the world is what Jason's talking about as well. So measuring a more comprehensive system so we can see what a more just and balanced society looks like, I think is part of the challenge for us as well. And Chun-Yin, tell us about your life as a designer, creator, and the work that you've done with TEDx, and give us a sense of the world that you're seeing and imagining in the next 10 years.
Yeah, definitely. And it's been great to hear all these fantastic ideas come up through the conversation so far. So I run TEDx Canberra. We're part of the global TEDx community. We create platforms in our communities for up-and-coming change makers and artists. And we've been around for about 10 years now in our community here in Canberra, in Australia's national capital. And we've seen certainly a lot of incredible youth speakers and presenters over those 10 years. One of the things that we've been finding is there's so much great talent, so much, inspiring youth energy and power out there. And being able to tap into that and create that platform for them and make that platform possible for them to share their thoughts, share their ideas, share what they're imagining with both our community but also the global community has been an incredible privilege. And certainly as a designer myself, looking at strategic design, looking at design thinking, it's always very exciting thinking about how we could design new approaches to get more of those voices onto stage.
Yeah, it's often we I think we can overcomplicate the engineering when young people want to just go for it, or people want to lead, and sometimes it's a matter of just saying, hey, do you want to lead? And then someone says yes, and you kind of get out of the way. So one of the programs we're looking at, which we're going to roll out this year, which we've just started to run at the back end of this year, but next year we'll scale up with Imagination University, is an Imagination Ambassadorship, where we set a very simple challenge. Using imagination, how will you create a fairer world in 100 days? And that'll be open to students from age 5 through to age 18. And I think there's some parallels. We were thinking about having a TEDx partnership or a TED partnership at the end, where you could then profile the case studies of those stories, and some of the design stuff that you guys are doing, Jim, is really fascinating as well. So outside of this show, we'd love to talk about what we might be able to kick around together with that ideology, because it's, showing world-class case studies so then we can learn and follow it, and then giving a stage and a simple but complicated in its simplicity design framework, which just gives a good funnel and goes, off you go. Hey, Liam, you got any questions for the panel?
Oh, okay. I guess I have a question for Chun-Yin. What gave you that drive to start? Sorry, I'm just a little flustered. So you work at TEDx Canberra. What gave you that drive to heighten voices, not only youth but other people around the world, to share these ideas and opinions?
So my background is in science communication, and I guess I've always personally been really, really fascinated, but also really energized by opportunities where I can create fascinating, interactive, interesting platforms where people can share and download, upload their incredible ideas to as big of an audience as possible. Our mission is all about creating a platform for ideas worth spreading. And I think, once you have an idea in your mind, it sticks with you. It gets you thinking further. It gets you to be creative and keep thinking about the possibilities that you can yourself create. And that's definitely been one of the core missions that we have is, as we host our events and host our gatherings, it's about bringing people together and helping people understand that they too have the power to create change in the world, and they too have the power to imagine better futures and better solutions. And that's just so energizing and such a powerful space to be able to belong to.
Lorenzo, what is imagination?
Imagination is so I think born from your culture and your tradition, and can brings you into the future you want to have and you want to see, and maybe even better if you want to be part of it. So at the end of the day, I took also some notes about this discussion, and I think that inequality is one of all the problems that we are facing in the current world. At the end of the day, if we want to solve these problems, it's important to find specific niche of problems, tackling them even better if we are using technology to scale our solution and improve millions of lives.
So we have imagination up here, like Lorenzo is talking about. We form a thought. We have all of our we were born into a world in one place or space. I'm coming to a live audience with a question in 65 seconds as well. So as long as you guys are ready. Jace, how do you take imagination out of your head into something real?
Yeah, good. Well, I think the thing is you've got to eliminate all those existing norms that are in your head and your thinking. So imagination for me is sort of almost like, it's like starting afresh, and it's like going back to thinking, if we didn't have anything now, what would it be that we would create? So we are very big on how can we introduce these into classroom lessons and give the teachers the skills to let the kids open up their minds and go on their own journeys of thought and thinking and imagination. Because as soon as we get to school, we're taught to imagine less and to understand facts and figures and numbers, which computers do for us now. It's obsolete. So it's about trying to embed into that education system that mindset, that positive mindset, to overcome that. And it really is about opening up your thinking and erasing all previous thoughts is the heart of it all.
That sounds like a good complex mental gymnastics challenge. Lakota, what is imagination?
Imagination is, I don't really know, kind of stuck.
That's okay. Well, let me come back to you. Sunny, what's imagination?
Imagination is basically a place in your mind where you can escape from reality.
Yeah, I like that. I've got a friend he also works for us out of Kenya, and the biggest refugee camp in the world is in Kenya. And he works as a photographer and a journalist there. And he says often one of the few things that those kids have is their superpower of imagination to have a world where they can be anything and achieve anything. And there might be challenges for them getting out of that camp, but imagination can take them to other realities. I really love that idea. And Lakota, I think it's such a complex word to put words to. It's hard to work out. So I think I don't know is always a very good answer to a question. It's one of my favorite answers. Jim, what's imagination?
Imagination is basically like a place where
Just lost you for a moment. We'll swim back in a second. Jim Savage, how have you landed where you are working in this world? What was your pathway, and have you made any brave leaps of putting yourself out there where you could, have failed and got the chance to be able to, do the work that you're doing?
I don't know about brave. Everything is more difficult in your own mind, isn't it? But when you meet truly brave people, you're like, nah, I can't hold a candle to that. I went to university, I did economics, got a government job in Canberra after that. And then eventually I found myself with this decision. I had a baby and a job offer in a very risky startup company in New York, although all their customers were in sub-Saharan Africa, in solar panels throughout sub-Saharan Africa. And so without having ever been to New York before, my wife, myself, and the one-year-old baby, we packed our bags and moved over to New York. And that was basically the riskiest thing we ever did. So I worked with them for 4 years, and we helped build a wonderful little company that is funneling huge amounts of money into sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast Asia now, from big impact investors into solar panels and cows and motorcycle taxis, so on and so on. Then after a little while, I'd more or less automated my job, and that was when I got a phone call from the guys I work with at the moment. It's been a real thrill.
Mate, awesome. Yeah, that big jump, and that city is a tough city. We've been there for the last 4 years, and have just moved back to Australia and helping set AIM up globally with that as a framework. And a lot of the drama and the TV descriptions of New York are real in terms of people being unbelievably rude sometimes, and then sometimes people promising the world to you in meetings and never replying emails afterwards. It's a tough web to get through, but I think if you can, that Alicia Keys line, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. It definitely gives you a good framework and training ground. Hey, Liam, thank you so much for being a co-host today. I've loved your insights and your thoughtfulness. That answer around capitalism is one of the more thoughtful answers I've heard when asking that question. So thanks for being a part of the show. What did you learn from being a co-host today?
I learned that there are so many ways to inspire change and do good in this world, and that it's happening everywhere, no matter what you think, and it's happening at all different ages. I just think it's really interesting that people are actively taking a stand against injustice and inequality to try and create a better world. And seeming as we don't have that long left, and of course a human lifespan isn't that long, I think the change that has already been done by these individuals is incredible and life-changing for many.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for being brave and jumping on as a co-host, and can't wait to see what you do in the next few years and this year and tomorrow, and make sure you have as Jason said, a sparkle of laughter and happiness and joy along the way, because I think Oscar Wilde once said life's too important to be taken seriously. So we've got to take it really seriously and then also have a laugh at ourselves along the way. Hey, thanks to the live audience at Monaro High School. Thanks to James, our principal, for joining in and being a part of the show. Lorenzo, Jason, Chun-Yin, and Jim, thanks so much for your contributions on the panel. It was a real pleasure hanging out with you all.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
All good.
Thanks for having us.
All right, team, we're going to wrap up with a video that we made 4 years ago with a group in France to help kickstart taking aim globally. And that was our big, brave jump. I stood on a stage in New York in a venue called Chelsea Piers, and we were looking out at, you could see the Eiffel Tower, and we spoke to a group of people and said, we think we can be one of the groups that changes the world, because if it's not going to be us, then who? And if it's not going to be now, then when? And sometimes you need to be brave and throw your words out there and throw the dream out there, and then try and work out how to make it come to life. So we made this video to launch our campaign to go globally. And since then, we've met our friends in Nigeria, Uganda, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and the United States. And we're starting to make connections around the world with young people and people from all different age brackets who want to see things change. So really excited to see what we can do in the next 10 years. We'll follow up with some of you on the show today, and those in the audience that are keen to explore the Imagination Ambassadorship as we get set to launch Imagination University next year. And we're going to finish up with COGS, and that'll wrap up Imagination TV today. And we'll be back tomorrow at 12 noon Australian Eastern Standard Time. All right, gang, catch you soon.
ticking clock to cure pain. Every second means a mile. Every minute means a day. I hope you're walking in the sun. Hope you're going to be some